Hi, Lisa.
Hi, everybody.
Please do let us know where you're watching from, if you're watching us live or on the replay, and type in the comments. And if you have any questions for Lisa during the interview, let us know also in the comments. All right. And you're all set, Lisa?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome. So we have the serious but fun topic today of pregnancy during COVID-19. Now, is this something that you get asked every day?
It certainly seems like comes up in some form every day. Yes, that's true. Um, okay, I'm just finishing this other thing. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. There we go. Okay, here we go. Okay. So I would say that it comes up really, really a lot, either in my conversations with patients or over email. I get a lot of emails, updates about pregnancy during this time because I'm a member of the American Association of Reproductive Medicine, American Society for Reproductive Medicine, and they are sending out a lot of updates. So we definitely have some information now that we've been dealing with this for a little while, which is great. But there's still issues.
Oh, okay. And you said American Society for Reproductive Medicine. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And they are the group that basically advises reproductive endocrinologists, or what people think of as fertility specialists, about kind of overall care and ethics and protocols. They're very, very active and really important as a resource.
Great, great. And so, what's your relationship with them?
I am a member of them, and I'm also there's a subcommittee for complementary medicine practitioners,
Okay,
which is newer for them, but I think it's in its first few years, but it's great that they have that, um,
that's great.
for sure. So,
Yeah. So, what are they saying? What's the latest on this?
well, the good news, let's start with that, because there is really good news. The good news is that there seems to be a lot of reason to believe that this is not as bad for pregnant women as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So, past infections like Zika and H1N1, which we knew as the swine flu back about 10 years ago, they were very challenging for pregnant women. And this COVID-19 does not seem to be as much. So far, they're telling us that there doesn't seem to be an increased risk of getting it if you're pregnant, or having a worse case if you're pregnant than any average person. They're not seeing transmission from mom to baby in pregnancy, and they're not seeing any evidence that it's in the amniotic fluid or the breast milk or the cord blood or the placenta. So I think that's all incredibly good news. So in a lot of ways, we have to take the silver linings where we get them these days, and that is, it could be much worse. So that's really making me happy as far as what it could be. So women are able to breastfeed without, I mean, if a mom were to have COVID-19 herself, she could still breastfeed the baby. It does not seem to be an issue there. Um, and there's not an increased risk in the mom getting really, really sick, or passing it to the baby. So those are the key things that we wanted to be sure. There also doesn't seem to be an increased risk in miscarriage if you have COVID-19 while you're pregnant.
Mm,
So we're still getting data. This is new, but so
right.
far we do have at least preliminary information that seems to be really optimistic for that.
That's great.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah.
So, are you getting data just every day, basically from this organization?
From this organization and others, I think there was a preliminary study done in New York City hospitals a few days ago that was confirming kind of all the things that I just said. And it looks like they did for the month of March, between March 1st and April 2nd. So, we just kind of have to learn what we can. But it's really exciting because obviously with Zika, there are horrible birth defects, and H1N1 was very much easier to get if you were pregnant, and the severity and the chance of death was way higher. So that's at least something. It's really great.
So are there cases that they've been studying that have happened for pregnant women with COVID-19, or is this just something that doesn't happen for pregnant women?
Oh, no, it does happen. Unfortunately, I think it still will happen. And I've heard different things. Again, I hesitate to say anything absolutely conclusive, but the information that I've been seeing suggests that sometimes a baby born to a mother with COVID-19 will be born with antibodies, which is amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we're still kind of waiting on that one. That would be really great if that were to happen a lot.
That's ideal. Wow.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
I know. That would be ideal. I've definitely, like I said, I don't think we're seeing a for sure that if mom has COVID-19, baby's going to get it. I think they're not. But so to kind of go into the downside, I think that they're unfortunately taking the baby away pretty quickly from mom with COVID-19. And so I think that seems to be a work in progress in terms of what the hospitals are deciding to do with that. But I think, unfortunately, that could be a worst case scenario, that the mom and the baby need to be isolated from each other. And I think the mom can still do breast pumping and still feed the baby, but I think in certain hospitals, that's what they're doing, is taking the baby away right away. So that's hard. And I think there's been a lot of public outcry about what they've been trying to do. So that may change, but everybody wants to keep the baby safe, obviously. So right. It's a very tough time outside of the things I was just talking about, which are the good news again.
Right.
Yeah.
So what else can you tell us? I know that we have a kind of a short program today, so I want to make sure you have a chance to kind of talk through this and help anybody who happens to be pregnant during this time.
The other things that I become aware of during this time are things that are not great news, but I think in the sense that knowledge is power, there's a lot that we can say in advance to try to get people to think about what they need. So for a while in New York, this is one of the outcries that I was just alluding to. For a while in New York, the hospitals weren't letting anybody be in with the mom during labor. So she was laboring alone with no one, which that was awful. And there was a public outcry, so they stopped doing that. And now, as far as I know, most places, including here in Portland, Oregon, are allowing one person to be with the mom. Now, that's great. And it also is difficult because that means that she has to make a hard choice. A lot of my patients were planning to have their partner, maybe their mom, and a doula kind of switching out and having a birth doula to help them with their labor, especially if they're laboring for the first time. Now they have to choose. And I talked to a patient of mine the other day who was really excited about having a doula, and yet she has to choose one person. So she said, I don't think I can have labor with someone I'm not related to.
Yeah.
So she's choosing her partner, and the doulas, bless their hearts, they're being as creative as we are, over here with the acupuncture. They're starting to do Zoom sessions during labor in the labor and delivery units, so they can at least be there talking the mom and the partner through labor to some extent. It's not ideal, but these are kind of things that you'll want to think about. Is if your facility only allows one person, and the other thing that sometimes is hard is that person can't come and go. Once that in certain places, I've heard that that person, once they're in, they have to stay in. So that means that you all have to bring in all your food and everything you'd need, and you kind of can't. Usually, a partner will be able to come and go and take breaks and just go walk around the hospital or go get something to eat. Labors can be long, but so you might want to check on that too, because then you really need to prepare your birth bag and bring everything that you would want and figure out how you can take breaks in the room instead of leaving.
So
And
those sort
yeah.
of decisions are they at the hospital level, or is that dependent state to state? Is are there?
Oh, that's a great question. I can't say that I know for sure,
Mm,
but my guess it would be hospital level, informed by whatever the governors are saying
mm,
and the CDC. But I think it's not. I think it's definitely probably state by state, as so many things are. But
mhm,
it's just things to be aware of. I think you have to plan a little bit more. Another concern that I have is that people after the baby comes are often very used to having their parents come, the grandparents come to meet the baby and help. And a lot of times, mom-in-law will come in different staggered shifts, and that's not as simple now. I'm
mhm,
not saying that we can't do it, but given the fact that most grandparents are going to be in that 60 plus range where they're
mhm.
going to be at higher risk, and the family who just gave birth has recently been in the hospital, I mean, there's just things to be careful about. And it's not going, I think I'm fearing that there's going to be more isolation and less help for postpartum women now. And so
So
that's,
what's your recommendation?
yeah. So I don't, I think each person has to decide, each family has to decide what their relative risk is, first of all. Whether the grandma can come or grandpa can come over afterwards is a decision that each family would need to make, and really think about the recommendations that the CDC and the governors are having about controlling social distancing, all of that, controlling the spread. But I think these are extenuating circumstances. In a certain way, we're being told to this essential word that we're using, and in a certain way, this is one of those things that's kind of essential. Postpartum moms need help. So one way or the other, the whole family is going to need help. I would do a meal train with friends who are local friends and family at the very least. I know a lot of women that I work with are afraid to ask for help because we're all so strong, but making sure that there's a really robust meal train
Mhm,
where every day somebody's bringing you food. And I think that we've determined that that is safe. They're still allowing takeout in Oregon anyway, and everything I've read suggests that that's, you still wash your hands when you get it and all of that, but, cook it, and that should be fine if someone drops off food to your house. So I would say, rather than, I think what people normally do is a couple times a week, somebody brings over food. I would say, especially if it's just the immediate family and they've chosen not to have grandparents or other people over because of social distancing,
mhm.
we want to really help moms eat every day, that in a way that they don't have to worry about. So a daily meal delivery if possible. I think to know that it is safe to get takeout if you need to, and to
Mhm.
have mom stay home with the baby, and that she's not the one that goes to the grocery store. Have your groceries delivered. Do a lot of connecting on Zoom like we are, just do extra connecting, and but do really be cautious and stay sheltered in.
Great, great advice. Very, very clear on what the recommendation is. Anything else that pregnant moms need to be concerned about?
Well, the other end that, I mean, I kind of skipped to the end of pregnancy and delivery because it feels so, there's so much to think about there. But my patients that are pregnant, um, I'm going to try to see them as soon as I can, oddly. They are some of the first people I'm going to try to see when we open, and I'm going to be really, really careful about protecting them. But in the middle of pregnancy, you get a lot of back pain, and so suddenly they're without the help that they would normally get.
Okay.
And there are a few people I see that have struggled with anxiety and insomnia, and the acupuncture helped them so much. And now they're without it. And they're really, really feeling that. And this is, long before it's time to deliver the baby. So they're looking at many, many weeks without the extra support for their nervous system and their sleep. So that's kind of causing more stress. A lot of them are home with little kids while they're early pregnant, which
Right.
means they're tired, they're nauseous, maybe they're not sleeping, and they have to full-time care for a toddler because there's no more daycare. They're also trying to work full-time from home. It's just really a lot. And it's a little overwhelming to me. I want to go and take them home with me. I always want that
Aw,
anyway. But I just I'm giving people as many tools as I can with acupressure and mindfulness and some different types of things that help calm down, and some exercises if what their main concern is pain, hip
yeah.
pain and back pain. And it's very common during pregnancy, and I did have somebody call me early on in a hip pain emergency, and between me and her physical therapist we got her through it. But
Nice.
that was lucky because really she probably also needed acupuncture. But
Right.
we
Right.
we got her better with some exercises and some different things that she could do acupressure wise. But it's these people that are already we're already very anxious. Now they can't go out of the house. They're afraid to get sick. They're taking care of a
Well,
2-year-old.
let's talk
They're
about
already
how you can
tired.
help them. So we know that you can now take new patients
Yes,
through telemedicine.
I
You want to
can.
talk about the kinds of people that um, you help the most, and kind of like your niche.
Mm-hmm. Well, overall, my niche is fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and women's health in general. And so I would say right now, if um, a lot of the, honestly, a lot of the fertility stuff is on hold in terms of acute fertility care at clinics because they're not sure that they think that it's a good idea for people to get pregnant right now. But I still feel like it's very important as soon as we're able to, people should be ready. And so if you're thinking about getting pregnant in the next 6 months, there's a lot that we can do to help prepare. And if you are pregnant and some of these circumstances or others are applying to you, and you're struggling with being home alone and anxious or in pain or worrying about labor, I really, really want to say, give me a call and
Yeah.
let's see what we can do. Because pregnancy, I feel like needs a lot of support anyway. And we constantly want to make sure mom and baby are safe and healthy. And now the circumstances are just more complicated. So more care is better.
And can people, so I'm putting your business name up here just because I know that they can look you up on Google.
Great.
And then can people sign up for a consult online with you?
Not a new patient consult, but
Not
but
new.
you certainly can email me through the site, the
Okay.
Portland Acupuncture Studio. It's pdxacustudio.com, and you can email me through the contact page, and I can set you up um, myself. So I'd be happy to talk with anyone. If anyone has a question about how could you help me, or under these current circumstances, what would you even do? I'd be happy to talk about that because there
That's
is actually a
great.
lot we can do.
Thank
So
you so
yeah,
much,
you're welcome.
Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing, your wisdom, knowledge, and also just that you are available to new patients now who are struggling with this. So if you're watching this and you're wondering if you could get some help from Lisa, go ahead and reach out to her. Again, it's
Definitely.
Portland Acupuncture Studio. You can Google that, or you can go to her Facebook page or her website for that too.
Great.
Anything else you want to say right before we sign off?
Well, I just want to say thanks everyone for listening. My neighbor is being loud with their lawnmower, but
I hear it.
I hope that everyone stays really healthy and safe. And if you're pregnant, really take care of yourself. Give me a call if you need anything. All right, take